Those were good old days in 1978, when the tennis player Björn Borg, the alpine ski racer Ingemar Stenmark were the top athletes in Sweden, and there was even a Formula 1 Grand Prix in the middle of the forest. The Scandinavian Raceway, also known as Anderstorp Raceway, is a unique combination of racing circuit and airfield runway located in the middle of rural in Sweden. Flat and featureless appearance, it managed to attract the top levels of motorsports in the 1970s. A concept of a racetrack and runway in one facility was born in the summer of 1965, when three local racing drivers, Sven Smoky Ashberg, Eik Bengtsson, and Bertil Senel, met for their daily morning coffee in Anderstorp. All three raced for the local team Mozart, and the conversation was about how they gained an advantage over their competitors. Ashberg had earlier proposed to build a modest 1.5-kilometer circuit to help them fine-tune setting, and had estimated the possible cost in rogue form. "It's too expensive," he reported. "Instead, we have to build a large track of 4 kilometers on Stabelmossen." After several guffaws from his compatriot, Ashberg acknowledged that additional funding might be needed, but this may not be a major issue. "We won't have to pay for it if we convince the industrialists in the village to so instead." So Ashberg persuaded local business owners to fund the circuit construction with the promise of an airplane runway, which would offer up new commercial opportunities for the isolated town through a daily connection to Stockholm, and bring prosperity to the local community. By 1966, enough business owners had signed on to allow construction to commence. The circuit was designed by engineer Holger Eriksson, with advice from F1 driver Joachim Bonnier. It's dominated by the long straight that doubles as the runway, and the rest of the circuit is highly curvy and tricky. The pits were unusually far from the start-finish line. Anderstorp Raceway is located in the town of Anderstorp, in Gislaved Municipality, Jönköping County, around 80 km from Göterberg. The circuit combines a 4-kilometer long race circuit with an airport runway that uses a portion of a racetrack, so Anderstorp Airport is not always open due to activities on the race circuit. 2 years later, in June 1968, the circuit was officially inaugurated as the Scandinavian Raceway, with an international sports car race won by Bonnier. Actually, the first race was previously held 1 month earlier in secret to serve as test run for the newly formed Anderstorp Racing Club. After the inauguration, Ashberg shocked everyone by announcing that the new circuit would attempt to host a Formula 1 race within 5 years. "In 5 years, we will be driving Formula 1 here." However, Ashberg faced some skepticism when he told his friends about his future plans for the circuit, but this didn't discourage him. First, a Formula 5000 race event was held in 1970, and then the World Motorcycle Championship made their debut in 1971, with Italian rider Giacomo Agostini won the first 500cc race. Nonetheless, Ashberg made a significant effort to make his ambition come reality. During the summer, Ashberg traveled to the Belgian Grand Prix to meet FISA representatives to discuss the terms of Formula 1 race. So, on 17 June 1973, the first Formula 1 Swedish Grand Prix was held at this circuit. The arrival of Formula 1 coincided with the rise of Swedish age Ronnie Peterson. Although the circuit is located far from big cities, the inaugural of Swedish Grand Prix drew a large attendance with more than 50,000 people around the track. Increased grandstands were built to cater for the bigger audience drawn in by the Grand Prix. In response to driver complaints, in 1975, A new chicane was created at Norra Corner shortly before the 1975 Swedish Grand Prix. The chicane was also realigned and tightened for the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix. But it doesn't stop there. Safety changes during this time period included a redesigned pit lane entry road for the 1976 Grand Prix, which allowed the barriers at the entry to Gislaved Corner to be moved significantly further away from the track. Larger changes occurred before the 1978 Swedish Grand Prix, when the unpopular chicane was completely removed in favor of much thinner Norra Corner, as well as a small reorientation of the straight and final curve. But after the death of Swedish drivers Ronnie Peterson in September at Monza and Gunnar Nilsson in October 1978 from cancer, corporate Sweden lost interest in funding an event without home stars. After initially included on the F1 calendar, it was quietly dropped forever. The motorcycle Grand Prix had been briefly moved to Karlskoga in 1977, but in 1981 the Grand Prix returned to Anderstorp, and the European Touring Car followed in 1985. By 1990, the FIM demanded improvements if the World Championship will return, and while these were duly complied with, a run of the World Superbike continued in 1991 and 1993. However, 1993 proved to be a turning point of this circuit. Everything appeared well until the week of the 24 hours, when a complaint about disruptive noise called the event in doubt. The media reported that the race was cancelled, but a last-minute intervention by the state governor gained the race a reprieve. But unfortunately, the Anderstorp Racing Club filed for a bankruptcy as a result of the event's problems and financial losses. So the club had reorganized itself as the new Anderstorp Racing Club. After several years, this circuit was renovated once again, including the addition of a first perimeter road for emergency access in 2000 and the construction of permanent pit garage in 2006. Since then, the circuit has maintained a domestic calendar, and the circuit bosses have decided to reduce the number of race dates due to noise complaints, with only 22 noisy days allowed. After more than 5 decades, there are plans to improve the facilities to meet modern safety standards and also improve the spectators' experience.